We all know that cutting down on our use of plastic bags helps protect the planet's environment. Charging for these bags in shops has certainly helped the situation, but experts are warning that much more needs to be done. So could a return to using paper bags be the way forward? Joe Good went to an East End shop steeped in history to find out.
How many of us have done this? Struggled home laden with plastic bags. Well, these, I can assure you, are just props for this film, because I've been trying to give up plastic. How could I not, when I've seen how it pollutes our oceans and causes our wildlife to suffer all over the world?
We're told to stop throwing bags away and use the same one every time we shop, like our grannies used to do. A shopping bag is now called a bag for life, but I often forget to take one out with me. So I was thinking, why not use another idea from the past, the disposable paper bag?
If you're talking paper bags, this has to be the place. It's full of them. Paul Gardner is a paper bag merchant, and his shop has been owned by his family here in Spitalfields since 1870.
My great-grandfather, James Gardner, started it up, and it was the year that Charles Dickens died, so it's pretty amazing when you think people like Queen Victoria was about. We've still got the original till, you know, from all that time ago, like, really, so it's pretty good. No cash registers here.
No, but look how worn down it is by the hands going in over the years. Copper, silver, and what, £1 coin.
Yeah, that's about all. We originally started out as scale makers because Spitalfields used to be next door, and well, there was loads and loads of greengrocers about that time. Slowly we turned into being called market sundriesmen, selling paper bags and carrier bags, because it was a staple diet in that sort of time, really. I mean, the brown paper bags went with fruit and vegetables. I started here 1972. Most greengrocers would buy a couple of thousand bags a week. I got people who bought 10,000 bags at a time.
And they were just plain brown paper. There were no designs, no white bags. This was just the standard brown paper bag in those days.
That's what it was, basically. We started doing some printed paper bags with, they had tomatoes on the front.
Brown paper bag makes for a hand.
This brings back so many memories. I remember my grandmother saying, get half a pound of firm tomatoes.
Yeah, well, my dad actually designed that bag, really. So that was in about the late 1960s, but that was the upper class one, like, really, for the top-notch greengrocers. And then there was the other one, the brown ones, which are just as good, like, really, but they're not quite as elite as that.
Things were to change, though. A plastic bag was invented that would last and wouldn't rot. So Paul had to move with the times and sell plastic as well as his paper bags.
You have to diversify, like, really. Well, I can remember I used to get some bags from a company up north called the Carrier Bag Company, and literally within about a year or something, everything just changed dramatically. And they went bankrupt and closed down because everyone went on to plastic.
But as everyone started to use them en masse, no one thought about the harm that the new durable plastic bags could do in the long term.
Plastic bags, like all sorts of other forms of plastic, can escape into the environment, and when they do, they can trap animals. Animals eat them. That can make them starve as they bung up their guts, but also they break down into tiny pieces which concentrate surrounding toxins, surrounding poisons, and that makes them very, very, very poisonous right at the bottom of the food chain, so they could affect all life. Paper bags are much better than plastic in terms of escape to the environment, because if a paper bag escapes into the environment, then it'll just rot, it'll break down. If something eats it, then it'll digest it probably, so it'll be fine.
Many shops and fast food outlets are already trying to reduce their use of plastic. And if some of Paul's customers are anything to go by, paper bags really do seem to be making a comeback. And it is often by customer demand.
I run a local clothing wholesale and retail business, and we use exclusively paper bags now. We used plastic originally, but we found over the years the customers were refusing them. And as we found better suppliers like Paul to get paper bags, we've swapped completely over to paper.
So it's customer-led.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of people who are very on the environmental message. So.
And is that, for you, tricky? Is it easier to use plastic bags, hand those out, or paper bags?
No difference to us, to be honest with you. I mean, paper's a lot more expensive, but we think it's worth it.
In your shop, do you use plastic or paper?
We use paper bags, and we use like recycled boxes and stuff, recycled tape to package all our stuff that we send off in the post as well. So everything we use is like paper or recycled material.
So no plastic in your shop at all?
No plastic, no.
Is that important to your customer, do you think?
I think so, yeah. Like a lot of customers, if you say, do you want a bag, they'll say, oh, is it a paper bag? So it's definitely something that I think people are a lot more aware of now.
The plastic bag was a way of advertising a retail outlet, wasn't it? So it was free advertising for you.
Yeah. We do like, so on our paper bags we stamp, like we have like an old school kind of stamp that we put on it, so that has our brand on it.
I think they look classier, paper bags.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you think your customers expect you to...
Yeah. I think if you fold it nicely and put it in a paper, like something about the structure of it, it's kind of like nice to walk out with a paper bag.
Yeah.
I think like plastic ones just kind of look a bit like a sack, so it just kind of looks deflated, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, these are nice. So it seems that carrying the right paper bag has become a bit of a status symbol. The government are committed to cutting down on plastic, but they believe that paper is not the answer because producing the bags is bad for our carbon footprint.
If you do it on a carbon calculator, a plastic bag is seen to be lower. But I think overall people recognise that having just looked at carbon isn't the only way to consider the environment. And that's where we've seen the problem of plastics getting particularly into our land and into our oceans, and then having an ongoing impact. So I'd say if I was in doubt, I would buy a brand new kind of canvas bag and make sure that the money I spent on buying that means that I'll make sure I take it again in the future.
If you're reusing a bag, then you're not having to remake and remake and remake. If you forget your reusable bag, it's probably better for you to have a paper bag. But to encourage us not to keep coming back from the paper bags, probably we ought to have a small levy on paper bags as well as single-use plastic bags. Anything single-use we should be trying to get away from.
So it seems that using these paper bags might not be the long-term solution, but everybody agrees that something needs to begin immediately to help protect our wildlife from their plastic nightmare. So this simple brown paper bag could be the start for now.
What a great little shop. Joe Good reporting there. Right, that's nearly all for tonight's show. We'll be back on air again in 2 weeks' time. So let's have a quick look at what we've got coming up then. How an inside-out investigation